Afternoon and welcome to Baina Midday News, coming to you live from Benab House, Atomic Junction, Medina. Coming up this afternoon, Bawumia says it's time for Ghana to reduce the power of the presidency in our constitution. And minority in parliament says next generation in Franco's 5G deal is illegal. Also, anti-LGBTQ bill case adjourned to July 29 actor. And then I'm Khadija Kubura Kela. Remember, the news is also live on Facebook and YouTube at Baina TV. Stay with us for details of the stories. Thank you for staying with us now to our first story. The flag bearer of the governing New Patriotic Party, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has pledged to review the 1992 Constitution if elected president, with the aim of focusing more on economic development rather than solely on democratic stability. Dr. Bawumia observed that while the 1992 Constitution was instrumental in stabilizing Ghana's democracy, this objective has been successfully achieved over the past 30 years.
Dr. Bawumia emphasized the need for amendment to the Constitution to address current economic challenges and promote development. He believes that the time has come to make necessary changes to the document to better support the country's economic growth and prosperity. Addressing the Volta Regional House of Chiefs in Ho last week during his regional tour, Dr. Bawumia assured the chiefs that he would prioritize the constitutional amendments to reflect the evolving needs of the nation. He highlighted the importance of aligning the constitution with the country's economic goals. In his address, Dr. Bawumia reiterated his commitment to ensure that the constitution supports both democratic stability and ensure development, promising to make the required changes if given the mandate to lead the country. He said, though Ghanaian constitution is a good one, he believes it needs some amendment, saying the constitution, which was done for the purpose of achieving political stability, has served its purpose with Ghana's 30 years of democratic rule. Therefore, there's a need for changes towards economic development. He said this can only be with a bit deeper democracy and reduction of powers of the president.
Away from that, the minority in parliament has kicked against the next-gen Infranco 5G deal, describing it as inimical to the national interest. On May 30th, the government revealed its intention to launch the 5G network within the next 6 months. Eslo Owusu Ekufo, the Minister of Communication and Digitalization, justified the government choice to award the 5G licensing contract to Next-Gen Infraco, a company formed just a week prior to the approval of the contract.
The Ablekuma West MP defended that Next-Gen Infraco was supposedly created to handle the 5G rollout. She noted that no other company could manage the rollout at that time. The minister further clarified that the direct contract awarded to this new company is a strategic move by the government to bypass previous obstacles and expedite the deployment of 5G network in Ghana. However, the minority, through a statement signed and released by its leader, Dr. Kesela Tuforsen, argued that the deal was detrimental to the nation. He reasoned that it was due to its lack of value for money, unfair monopoly, and exclusivity, and the absence of parliamentary approval. He stated that at a time when the country urgently needs foreign exchange and non-tax revenue, it is unacceptable for the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government to hand over the country's valuable and highly sought-after 5G spectrum to a shell company for a small sum. Dr. Forson indicated that the minority has marked the transaction for thorough scrutiny. He said in the coming days, the minority shall be addressing the media and by extension the Ghanaian people on what they described as vexed matters and collaborate with other stakeholders to ensure that the national interest is upheld.
Meanwhile, the flag bearer of the governing New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has announced that there are plans to switch to e-gates at the Kotoka International Airport by the end of this year. According to the Vice President, these e-gates will be installed in the arrival section of the airport, eliminating the need for travelers to undergo immigration checks upon arrival. Dr. Bawumia made this announcement during a meeting with the clergy in Cape Coast, marking the start of his Central Regional Tour on Monday, June 3. He emphasized that the government is committed to digitizing most state institutions to make them more accessible to Ghanaians. He said with the e-gate and Ghana card in place by the end of 2024, travelers would not need to go to an immigration officer upon arrival in Ghana at Kotoka Airport, with religious and faith-based organizations regarding school management, particularly focusing on discipline. And away from that, the parties in a case at the High Court challenging the approval process of the anti-LGBTQ+ bill have been directed by the court to file their written submissions. This follows the adjournment of the case to July 29. The plaintiff, Paul Boama Sefa, who is a farmer, in his writ says the Speaker of Parliament did not adhere to the dictates of the Public Financial Management Act when he allowed for the bill to be taken through the approval process. The plaintiff asserted that the bill did not have an accompanying fiscal impact analysis stating the estimated effect on revenues and expenditures for the financial year it is to be passed in contravention of Section 100 Clause 1 of the Public Financial Management Act. The case is the first to be heard since the Chief Justice decided to allow live media coverage for all cases related to the anti-LGBT+ bill. The judge presiding over the case, however, adjourned the case to July 29 for the parties to file their written submissions. The plaintiff has 4 weeks from today to file his submission. The defendants, including the Speaker of Parliament and the Attorney General, will then file their respective submissions after the plaintiff has done his. Also, actor Kojo Nkansa, popularly known as Lil Wayne, has been granted 50,000 Ghana cedis bail with 2 sureties by the Asokore Mampong District Court after he was arrested on Monday, June 3. The actor was arrested by officer from the Motor Traffic and Transport Department of the Menchia Divisional Command moments after he was discharged from the hospital.
His arrest is in connection with a recent accident involving vehicle being driven by the actor, which resulted in the death of a 3-year-old boy. The family of the 3-year-old boy intensified calls for justice after the death of their relative, but police said delays in the arrest of Lewin was due to his health condition. Lewin has been charged with dangerous driving and negligently causing harm. The prosecution told the court they were still investigating the matter and insisted the accused should avail himself wherever he was needed. The prosecution also said the case was delayed due to the health condition of the accused. Counsel for Lewin, Margaret Ejechum, however, said her client suffered injuries including internal bleeding and should be granted bail to go through treatment. She said her client was a popular person in the country and would not escape from the court as the case proceeds, adding that that they were forced to court by the police, although her client has not recovered fully. There was a heavy police presence at the Asokore Mampong District Court. The case has been adjourned to 27th of June 2024.
International stories. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov arrived in Guinea on Monday on the first leg of a three-country African tour aimed at boosting support for Moscow. Russia's foreign ministry announced the visit on the Telegram social media app. Lavrov is expected to continue on his tour in Chad and Burkina Faso, according to reports by Russian state media.
The trip comes as Moscow looks to bolster support from countries on the continent amidst Russian isolation on the world stage. After its invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, Russia saw its relations with the West plummet, while the African Union and several African capitals opposed Russia's stance. More than half of African countries, including Guinea, abstained from UN resolutions calling for a withdrawal of Russian troops. In July last year, Russian President Vladimir Putin hosted several African heads of government at the second Russia-Africa summit in St. Petersburg. During the summit, Russia made promises focused on delivering grain to a number of African countries, while also declaring an intention to strengthen economic and security cooperation between Moscow and the continent. Russia's main economic interests in Africa have centered on its grains, arms, extractives, and nuclear power exports. More than 70% of all Russian trade with Africa in 2021 was carried out in just 4 countries: Egypt, Algeria, Morocco, and South Africa.
Now in sports, Ghana defender Mohamed Salisu remains confident over the Black Stars' chances ahead of their crucial World Cup qualifiers against Mali in Bamako on Thursday, June 6. The Black Stars will leave Ghana on Tuesday after 5 days of training in Accra for Group I's headliner.
Salisu, who had a strong finish to the season in France with AS Monaco, is expected to play a key role for the Black Stars in Bamako, having endured a tough debut African Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. Salisu believes the Black Stars have what it takes to get a positive result against the Eagles of Mali. Speaking to the media, Salisu said the game is very important for every Ghanaian. He said it is a World Cup qualifier and the players know how important it is for Ghanaians. He said the game against the strong Malian side is not going to be easy, but is full of confidence that the Black Stars will sail through.
Up on our midday news, I'm Khadija Kubra Keilani. Do enjoy the rest of our program.